You're not going to believe what's on the table today, and I'm not talking about some random headline. I'm talking about the kind of day where one detail can flip a season on its head. There's a surprise warning that hits our offense right where it hurts, a behind-the-scenes move that's already shaping the future of this offensive line, and a special teams problem that could explode at the worst possible moment. And as if that wasn't enough, Bolt Fam is walking into a cold weather test that breaks teams. Who's going to hold the line when the pressure spikes? So get comfortable, smash that like button, and let's get straight into it. Because there's something in the air besides that freezing wind. And it's not just the weather that has everyone on edge. The week was rolling along with that controlled tension feeling, until one name popped up on the report, and suddenly the whole fan base held its breath. This isn't a small footnote. This is a piece that changes coverage tells, spacing, and trust in the passing game. And when that happens right before you play the Chiefs in Arrowhead cold, every hint feels like chess. The list wasn't short to begin with. Keenan Allen shows up with rest and no designation. Classic load management. Darius Davis, ankle, ruled out, and that already affects rotation and special teams. Lad Mokon Key, foot, no designation, but clearly being monitored. Then comes the jolt. Quentin Johnston, groin, limited, questionable. And that's where the conversation splits in two. Some people hear questionable and panic. Others see it as gamesmanship. Because listing a guy as limited on Friday also forces the Chiefs to prepare for multiple versions of your offense. There's the optimistic read. Extreme caution with a former first rounder, a lighter day to keep him fresh for Sunday, and Kansas City has to spend extra time guessing. But there's also the tougher read. Groins are tricky. They mess with burst, change of direction, the timing of routes. If something got tweaked or aggravated in practice, the risk is real. And the recent history doesn't exactly calm you down. Johnston has been questionable twice already in 2025. He sat one time and suited up the other. That's a true coin flip. And this is where you find out what your roster actually is. If Johnston can't go, somebody has to absorb snaps, targets, and responsibility. Trey Harris becomes the obvious next man up. In limited opportunities, he's flashed as a move blocker, he's shown strong hands over the middle, and he's got that ability to create yards after the catch on scheme touches. In a cold game where timing can get weird, that kind of player is gold. More touches, more trust, more impact. And then there's a name that splits the room, Keandre Lambert-Smith. Raw talent, a preseason standout, but a season where mental mistakes and inactive weeks have been part of the story. This is the kind of spot that defines careers. You either take the moment, or you fade into the background. In the cold, in the noise, against that rival, the margin is razor thin. So this isn't just about who's on the field. It's about how the offense adapts, how Justin Herbert distributes the ball, and how the game plan protects the team from the worst case scenario. And while we're all trying to read between the lines, I've got to ask you, who do you trust to step up when the game demands real nerve? And if you think the drama ends on Sunday, buckle up. Because a move in Baltimore just gave the Chargers something to watch for 2026. Sounds early, I get it. But teams that want to reach the top play chess while the rest of the league plays checkers. Sometimes a no today turns into a massive yes tomorrow. The Ravens just extended defensive tackle Travis Jones for 3 years. So yeah, one target that would have fit our needs in the trenches is basically off the board before the race even starts. That's frustrating, because you look at the interior, you look at the cap space, and you think, man, that one made too much sense. But here's the twist. That extension creates pressure elsewhere. It forces hard choices. And that's where a name that should make every Chargers fan sit up comes in. Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best young centers in the league, is set to hit free agency after the 2025 season. And the fact he hasn't signed an extension yet tells you something. He wants to see the market. And the market means bidding war. And bidding wars are where the team with the biggest wallet wins. Here's the part that changes the equation. The Chargers are projected to have around $101 million in cap space in 2026, one of the biggest numbers in the entire league. Baltimore has room, but not the kind of room where you comfortably get into a spending war without making sacrifices somewhere else. And there's another detail people keep circling back to. The Ravens declined Linderbaum's fifth-year option. That doesn't mean they don't want him. It means there's a price point they don't want to blow past. Meanwhile, for the Chargers, the need is obvious. Center isn't a flashy position, but in big games, it's the guy who sets protections, identifies pressure, and gives your quarterback that extra half second. And with Herbert, half a second turns into a chunk play. If you're serious about hardball ball and you want your offense to be stable from the inside out, an elite center raises both your floor and your ceiling. And don't ignore the connections. Joe Ortiz knows that Baltimore pipeline. And Greg Roman, if he's still in place, has coached in a world where that kind of center is a weapon, not just a plug. So it's not only about money. It's fit. It's familiarity. It's a plan. So I'll put it right on the table. Would you back up the Brinks truck for a Pro Bowl center and build the rest around that anchor? Or would you rather spread the cap money across multiple positions and hope the offensive line clicks? Because this opportunity might be building quietly. And once it goes public, it's going to be a war. Now, while we're still processing injuries on offense and dreaming about the future, there's a problem that looks small until it costs you a game. That's special teams. Nobody notices when it's clean, but when it breaks loud. And right now, the warning lights are flashing, because one absence could swing field position in the worst environment imaginable. Darius Davis is out for the matchup against Kansas City. And I know some people will say, it's just a returner. But think back to 2023, rookie year, all-pro, league-leading 16 yards per punt return. He was that spark that could flip momentum and flip a stadium. The hope was simple: give the Chargers short fields, steal hidden yards, make life easier on the offense. Since then, different story: injuries, stop and start rhythm, production falling off a cliff. This season the numbers are brutal: 6.6 yards per punt return, almost a third of what he was doing at his peak. On kick returns, he hasn't become a threat, and his grading has been near the bottom among eligible returners. And when you combine that with questionable decisions in big moments, fans start demanding a change fast. Now put that into the real situation. Arrowhead, cold, loud, a game where every drive matters. If the passing game is even a little less efficient because of the temperature, you cannot donate 8 or 10 yards of field position every time you exchange possessions. That changes play calling. It changes fourth down decisions. It pushes you into a field goal script. And against Mahomes, living in that script is basically begging to get punished. So who takes over? Keandre Lambert-Smith could get a look. Hassan Haskins and Kimani Vidal have return experience. But the truth is, none of those options make the fan base breathe easy. And some kickoff averages haven't even cleared the low bar that already existed. That's why the real question is, do the Chargers make a late season roster move? Nyheim Hines is the cleanest, most experienced answer. Veteran, comfortable in chaos. And when he's been active for the Bolts this season, he's delivered a 27.9-yard kickoff return average, best on the team among guys with real volume. He's also got legit punt return experience, with nearly 90 punt returns in his career. It's not glamorous, it's security. And if the staff wants a deeper internal option, Johnston on the practice squad has return background from college. Either way, something has to improve. Because if the Chargers want a real playoff run, special teams can't be the leak that sinks the ship. And what's coming next? That's an enemy you can't block, and even heated benches won't save you. Because Sunday in Kansas City won't just be Chargers versus Chiefs. It's Chargers versus Arrowhead, versus the body clock, and versus cold that turns every snap into a toughness test. We opened the season in São Paulo, beat them 27-21, and for a moment it felt like powder blue destiny. Now the rematch is the opposite planet. Forecast at kickoff is around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and local meteorologist Nick Bender warned fans that wind chills could hit around -15 the morning of the game. That's not kinda cold. That's the type of cold that numbs hands, hardens the football, tightens muscles, and drains energy just to stay warm. And Harbaugh isn't treating it like background noise. The Chargers moved practices earlier this week to prep for the early window, because travel isn't just about the plane. It's about waking your body up when it still wants to be asleep. He took suggestions from UCLA experts to adjust the team's weekly rhythm so players are sharper when that early kickoff hits. But here's the truth. You can't recreate Arrowhead cold in El Segundo. The low is around the mid-50s and the high is around the mid-60s. You can't simulate it. You can only plan for it. Harbaugh even brought up the coldest game he's ever been part of, the 1989 NFC Championship at Soldier Field, with wind chills around -26. So when he says keep moving, it isn't coach speak. It's survival. Yes, they'll have heated benches, but you still have to play. And this is where game plan becomes everything. The Athletic has broken down how weather impacts offense, and even without snow and heavy wind, cold alone can lower passing efficiency once temps drop below 35 degrees. Fewer completions, lower yards per attempt. And if the ball is harder to grip and receivers feel it in their hands, every drop becomes a disaster. That's why the Chargers may need to lean into the run game. Omarion Hampton is back. Kimani Vidal has shown he can handle starter-level work. And if you're going to win in this kind of game, you need to control the tempo, control the field position, and protect the football. Harbaugh and Greg Roman love to talk about getting medieval with toughness and line play. Well, this is the week where that can't just be a quote. It has to be identity. So I'll ask you straight, do you trust the Chargers to embrace that physical, grinded-out approach and win on details? Or do you think Kansas City is going to force us into a passing shootout even in the ice? Because when you stack that reality on top of everything else today, you realize just how heavy this moment is. And that's the whole picture right now. A receiver injury that can reshape the offense, a future opportunity that could transform the interior offensive line, a special teams problem that can swing games, and a matchup in brutal cold where discipline and toughness decide everything. Nothing is easy. Nothing is guaranteed. But this is exactly